Hello, good morning friends. Welcome back to your favorite channel Code One Digest. Today in this video, we are going to learn how can you set up EC2 instance in AWS cloud, and then how can you run microservices with MongoDB. Yes friend, we'll be running a Springboot Microservices and we'll connect with the MongoDB, and everything we are going to do that in our EC2 instance. I'll show you step by step how can you create EC2 instance, then how can you create microservices, then how can you deploy microservices and MongoDB into that instance, and how can you test that microservice application by calling get and post contracts. Yes, friends, so it is going to be very exciting and a lot of learning in this video. So be with me till end of this video. So here is the agenda of this video, friends. We'll be creating EC2 instance from scratch. Then I'll show you how can you connect that EC2 instance from your local putty. Then we'll install MongoDB into that instance. We'll configure MongoDB so that we can connect it remotely. Then we'll create a database in MongoDB and we'll insert few records, few documents into MongoDB. Then we'll move on to the microservice development using Spring Boot. We'll compile the code, we'll build the application, we'll create a jar file out of it, and then we'll deploy and run that microservice with MongoDB in EC2 instance. And then finally, we'll test the endpoints, get and post contracts of our microservices. Yes, friends. So it is going to be very exciting and there are a lot to learn in this video. It is very good video for a beginner who wants to learn AWS and cloud technology. So be with me till end of this video. It is going to be very, very interesting. Okay, friends. So before we proceed in this video, I want to show you what we are trying to do in this video through an architecture diagram. So here, the blue area, what you see is a AWS environment, right? And then this pink color, what you see is a EC2 instance that we are creating now. We are creating an EC2 instance in this video. And in that instance, we'll be deploying our microservice and we'll be installing a MongoDB. So microservices will be coming from our S3 bucket. We'll be creating an instance of S3 bucket. Okay, we'll upload our jar, our application jar, microservice jar to S3 bucket, and from S3 bucket we'll copy that jar to our EC2 instance. Fine, and then we'll be installing the MongoDB into that EC2 instance from internet. We'll be downloading and installing it. So all those instruction I'll show and give you in this video. Then we'll start our application and we'll connect our microservices to MongoDB and test our get and post contract from our local, right? Clear? Friends, before we proceed in this video, I want you to subscribe my channel to grow Code One Digest family. Friends, I'm creating a lot of quality contents for you, but I'm not getting subscribers. I want you to like, share and subscribe my channel so that I can grow Code One Digest family. Thank you. Okay, friends. So now what we'll do is let us open AWS console and try to set up our EC2 instance. So in Google search for AWS EC AWS console login. Yeah. So it will take you to AWS management console. You have to log in. If you don't have an account, you can create a free account. It is free to create. I have already created an account. That is why I am logged in with that account. Now here we are going to create an EC2 instance. So in a search box, type EC2. You can see that EC2 service is listed here. Click on that EC2. You will be taken to a EC2 dashboard, right? Then on your left hand side, you have to create on instances. You see here on left hand side, this instances. As of now, I'm not running any instances, hence it is not listed here, right? So we have to launch an instance. Click on this right top corner yellow button, launch instances, right? Now you will land on this page where you will be setting up your EC2 VM instance. You have to provide certain details here like name of your server and the detail and configuration and so on. So we'll do that. Okay, so let me provide details to create this EC2 instance. So I'm going to give code one digest EC2 instance demo, right? So this is the name I'm giving. Then I'm taking this Amazon Linux default operating system. This is the server I'm going to take, and instance type I am taking T2 micro. You can select other instances as well, but I think for this demo this T2 micro is more than enough. I don't want hi-fi configuration. One CPU and 1 gigabit of memory is more than enough. Now here we have to create a key value pair so that you can securely connect to this instance from your local terminal, from your local putty. So if you don't have, I don't have a key value pair, so we can create a new key value pair. This is easy to create. I can say code one digest key value. I will take it as a RSA and I will download it as a PPK file because I am going to use it in putty. Okay, let me create this. Yeah, so that PPK file is downloaded. We have to keep that PPK file safe and secure. Later, we will use this PPK file to log in into our EC2 instance. Once we launch the EC2 instance, then from putty using this PPK file, we'll be connecting to it. Okay, I'll show you that. Fine. So that key value pair is selected here. Now let's create a network settings for our EC2 instance. Click on edit to update network settings. Here we will be creating a firewall rule that will important to run our application. So if you see here, we have a default virtual private network, and then I'm not using any subnet, let it be default, and it's saying auto assign public IP enabled. It is creating a security group for me with this name launch wizard 1 and so on. Now here you see there's a couple of security group rules are defined, which is allowing that SSH TCP on 22 port. This is used to connect the putty connection. Then source type anywhere. What we are going to do is now we are going to add a new security rule with our custom TCP. Okay, we'll say TCP from anywhere and we'll say 8080. Okay, so source type we have selected anywhere and then we said 8080. 8080. Once this is done, storage, let it be with the default configuration of one pack of 8 GB, right? With GP2 root volume, and in advanced detail, we don't have to change anything. Let it be default configuration as is, and just click on launch button on your right bottom corner. Yeah, it will take a couple of minutes to launch your instance. Yeah, it says the instance is launched successfully. Now, what we want to do is we want to connect to this instance. So click on this connect to your instance. It will open a new window and it will guide you how can we connect to this instance. We want to connect to that instance using SSH client. So we'll follow this instruction. Now I'll show you how can we connect to this instance from our local. Let's see that. Okay, friends. Now what we'll do is we'll connect this EC2 instance with our putty from our local. So let me open the SSH client, that is putty I'm using, and then we'll follow the instruction given here. So this is the host name of that server, so that I have to use here in the session, okay, as a host name that I have given. Then go to connections in SSH, go to auth, and then here select that PPK file that we have downloaded while creating the secret key pairs. So I'll just load that. This is my PPK file. Open that and click on open, right? So here it will ask for a username. So if you see in this command, the user is EC2 user. So this username we have to use and give it here. Yeah, and say enter. Here you go. So you are now into that server. You have logged in into that server. ULS PWD. Yeah, and just change it to a root user. Sudo su hyphen root. Yeah, so now we will do a setup as a root and we'll create cd slash, let me create and a directory application mkdir apple. Okay, so that application directory cd appl, so everything will run here. We will keep everything here in this directory. So okay friends, so I have logged in into my EC2 instance now, and I have become a root user so that I can install my MongoDB. So before that, what we'll do is we'll create certain links so that we will be able to add those repository and then download MongoDB from there. Let me do that, and we'll be adding it to copy that path of our MongoDB repository here. Yes, I have copied that. Let me save this. Yes, I have saved this. Now I'll try to install that MongoDB. Yes, it is downloading. Installing that MongoDB here. It says it's complete. Let me check. Yeah. Okay, friend. So now I have installed it, and then using this command, I have started the MongoDB sudo service MongoDB start. So it started successfully. It says okay, and then I have checked the status of MongoDB here. Sudo service MongoDB status. So here it says it is active and running, right? Okay, so now let me try connecting to this MongoDB using a Mongo Compass tool that I have in my local. Let me try to do that. Okay friends, so now we have installed the MongoDB. Now we have to do certain configurations so that we can connect this MongoDB from outside remotely. So come to /etc. Okay, I'm in etc, and here we have a MongoDB configuration file. Open that. Here in this network section, we have a port 270.178 is running on this port, and we have added 0.0.0.0 so that it allows connection from any server. By default, the value is 127.0.0.1. I have replaced this to 0.0.0.0 so that it accepts the connection from any server, right? So this configuration needs to be done. After that, you save this file and just restart your MongoDB. Restart your MongoDB using that service command, sudo service MongoDB restart. So this is a command, you restart it, and then once it is restarted, check the status if it is up and running. Yeah, it is up and running. Now we'll try to connect and see if we are able to connect remotely. Okay, so now we have started the MongoDB and it is up and running. Now we have to create a user so that we can connect to the database from outside. Let me go to that MongoDB. Yes, I'm inside the MongoDB, and now I'll create user. Let me copy that command. Yeah, so we have created user admin role root with password. Okay, admin password. Okay friends, so now we have installed the MongoDB. Before we connect to it from outside, we have to create a security group and a firewall rule where we will allow 27017 port for incoming and outgoing traffic, right? Because MongoDB works on 27017 port and we have to do that. So let me go to our EC2 instances, yes, and then let me go to a security group. This is my security group and I have to create one inbound rule. So these are my inbound rules we have with all these ports. I have to create another inbound rule, add a rule, we'll say custom TCP, and 27017 is a default MongoDB port. That is what it expects. Yes, 27017. And then it is from any server, I would say. And just a description, 27017, we are listing on it. Right, this is done, and save this configuration. So we are doing custom TCP 27017 confirm. Yes, this is done. So we have added that. Now we'll try to connect our MongoDB Compass to this MongoDB running our EC2 instance. Okay friends, so I have opened my MongoDB Compass database tool and now I will try to create a connection to the database. Let me update this. Let me take the EC2 host name. This is my EC2 instance host name and I will place this here. If you remember, we just updated, we create a firewall inbound rule so that it can listen on to 7017, right? Save and connect. AWS EC2 MongoDB. Yes, let's see. Okay, friends. So now see, if you see, I'm connected successfully to MongoDB, which is running on EC2 instance, right? Now what I'll do is I'll create a new database. I'll say new database name. I'm using this Code One Digest Springboot MongoDB demo, and the collection name I'm giving customer because I am going to use that. Collection name is like a table. So this is a table that we are creating. Create this database, right? And now I have this table, right? Now what we'll do is we'll add a document to this collection and see what happens. Add data, insert a document. So I will say ID colon Pavan, then age 30, then role ID 1001, and name Pavan, age 30, and role employee. Let's see. Let's insert this. Yes. Yeah. So document got inserted, right? So we have one document now inserted in this. We'll insert one more document. Add data and say John 32 and EMP. Insert. Yes. So now successfully we have inserted these two documents. So this is how you can set up MongoDB into EC2 instance. We are able to work with the MongoDB which is running on EC2 instance in cloud, and you are able to perform operation from your local. Right, friends, with me? Okay, friends. So now let me show you my microservice application that I have created. It will work with MongoDB. So let me start with a pom.xml. It is a Maven project. Hence, I have defined a pom.xml for all my dependencies. I have defined that I'm using the Spring Boot version of this, Spring Framework version of this 2.7.0, and then I've added the dependency for Spring Boot starter and starter web. Then finally I've added a dependency for my MongoDB here. If you see, I have, yeah, so I have defined this MongoDB dependency so that I can use it with my JPA, right? So that I can have those MongoDB driver to connect to a MongoDB and work with it, right? Fine. Then I have my main class defined here, a Spring Boot application class. This is microservice demo application with Spring Boot application annotation, which says that this is my starting point of my application. I have defined a controller, that is customer controller, with the two endpoints, get customer and post endpoint to add customer, right? So this is to get customer by name, and this is to add customer, new customer into our MongoDB. Then this controller layer interacts with my business layer class, that is customer service. Here I have two methods. One is to serve for the get customer request, and other one is to add customer. This service layer interacts with a customer repository class. This is a repository layer class. Let me show you. This is an interface, and it's extending the Mongo DB repository class. This is coming from our dependency jars, right? That MongoDB dependency that we have added. So this class is coming from there. And I have added a few methods here for JPA, that is find by name and find by role, so that we can fire a query. We can find a customer by name or role. Find by ID need not to define here because ID is a primary key, and Mongo repository by default supports find by ID out of the box, right? So we need not to define here. And we have a domain object that we have defined here is a customer. Let's go and see what is there in our domain object. So this is a domain object, a customer, where it has four properties. ID, it's of a string type, it's a primary key, and then we have name of a customer, role of a customer, and then age of a customer, right? So this is the domain object that we have. Fine. So this is a very small application, and it is going to interact with our MongoDB. Let me also show you my configuration file where I am having a database connectivity. Okay, I want it to run on port, let's say 8080, right? And then I am going to define the host, port, and my database name. So this is my host name, that where I want to connect for the MongoDB, and this is my port, and this is my database name. So this we'll see again once we start our microservice in a EC2 instance. So that time I'll show you this configuration may change as per the host name and database name that we create in EC2. So I'm just showing you this is a configuration that we may have to do, right? With me, it's a simple application. Let me build this so that we'll have the jar file created, clean and install. Let me run this. Will take a couple of seconds to compile the code. Yes, it is compiling those 6 files, source files that we have. Okay, so build is successful. That means jar is created. Now we can use this jar to upload into our S3 bucket, and then we will use that jar into our EC2 instance to start our application. Okay, friends. Now, so what we'll do is we'll create a S3 bucket so that we can upload our jar file to it. So search S3 service here, select S3, and then it will take you to the S3 management console. So here, if you see, there is an option to create a bucket, but I have already created a bucket, I will use that, but I'll show you how can you create a bucket. Click on the create bucket, give some name, my bucket demo. You can select a region where you want to. So we can say disable ACL, and then we will disable blocking of all public access. So we'll allow all public access to it, but you can select appropriate security option here that which particular IP you want to give access, or you can give restricted access by selecting this point. Block public access accordingly. Then we don't want any versioning of this bucket, so disable it. And tag, if you want to create a tag, you can create tag. Encryption, select the default one. And what is there in advance? We don't want to change anything, just say create bucket, so it will create a bucket for you. The same way I have created a bucket already and I'm using this bucket. So let me go to that bucket, but it doesn't have any object. So once you go to the bucket, inside the bucket you will have option to upload a file. Let me upload my jar file now. So where is my jar file? The jar file here in this project. I'll go to that project directory and then we'll upload the jar file from there. So inside this project I have in target, I have created a jar. I will copy this jar from this location and upload it here. So I'll say upload and add file. I'll go to that location. I'll select this jar, open, select this jar and permissions. Just check the permissions. We have disabled choose from predefined ACL, specify predefined ACL, grant public read access. So you have to select the public read access so that we can access it from our EC2 instance. I understand the risk and there are certain properties that you can let it be with the default setting and say upload. So it will take a couple of minutes to upload that file. We got some 30 to 40 MB file. It's uploading it. Upload is done. You can go to that file and copy a URL. So let me open this file. We'll copy this jar URL to access that. Now what I'll do is I'll go to my terminal where I've logged in into EC2 instance and we do wget command and provide that jar location. Yeah, so it has transferred that jar file. If I can see, yeah, so jar file is available. Now what I'll do is I'll run the microservice application. I'll start microservice application using a Java command and then we'll test it. Okay, friend. So now before starting our application, we have to install Java because Java is also not there. What we get from AWS EC2 instance is just an empty operating system. So all required software we have to install. So what we need to run this jar file is a Java. So I have a command, yum command, yum install Java 1.8.0. I'll use this and you can run it as a root or you can use sudo so that it will now download the Java and install it. Just say yes, it's downloading. It will take a couple of minutes to download and install Java. Yes, so it is done. You can say Java minus version. Yes, so it's showing up. Okay, friends. So now the jar file is copied. Let me do a configuration for our application to connect to database. Let me go to a config file. Yes, if you see, I have created a empty file application prod dot properties. Let me open this, insert, and now I'll copy the configuration where I want to run my microservice at 8080 port, and this is the my MongoDB configuration where I'm saying connect to MongoDB on localhost with this port 27017, and this is my database name. If you remember, these are database name that we have used, we have created a database with this name. So hence I'm using that here in my configuration. I'll copy this and I will paste in this file. Okay, so I pasted it, right? Let me save this file. Yes, get application. Yeah, so it is there. Now let me try to run this with a command. Okay, friends. So now I have created a command to start our application, that is Java Manager, and this is our Spring profile, that is prod that we are using, application-prod.properties. So hence I'm defining that this is the profile you have to use, and this is my jar file. Let me copy that. I'll go to server and paste it. Yes, and let me hit. We are able to start. Yeah, so application is starting up. Yes, so it is opening connection. It says yeah, Mongo client. It is able to connect. Yes, friends. So application is started successfully on port 8080. Now what we'll do is we will hit the get and post contract and see if that works fine. Okay. Okay, friends. Now we are ready to test our get and post contract for our microservice application, which is running with MongoDB on EC2 instance. So let me open this contract in Postman. Let me update this URL. So this is my EC2 instance and running on 8080 port, and this is my endpoint customers Pawan. Let me try to get if we are getting a reply for this. Yes, I'm getting a response. I got this user Pawan, right, from 30. If you remember, we have same user inserted in that database, right? So this is the response we are getting from that database, right? Okay. So if you see, this is the ID that we are getting for, right? So this is the ID and same user we are getting. Now what we'll do is we'll try to add a user from our postman. Let me update this and then we'll say customer save. Yeah, this is the endpoint, and in the raw data we'll be adding, okay, Ravi, and let me try to insert this let me try to insert this customer Ravi. Yeah, so it says 200 and insert it. Let us try to get that newly inserted customer Ravi here in a get contract. Yes, so we are getting that user Ravi in our get contract as well. And let us see from the back end if we have all the users. Yes, so I refreshed it and I can see that Ravi is inserted. So friends, that means we have successfully deployed the application and MongoDB into our EC2 instance, right? And these are the logs for whatever operations we have performed. These are our microservice logs that you see here. Okay, friends, so let me summarize what we learned in this video today. Okay, so we created EC2 instance from scratch. Then I shown you how can you connect to EC2 instance from your local putty using secrets, key and value pair. Then we install the MongoDB into the EC2 instance. We configure the MongoDB so that we can connect it from outside. We created firewall rules. We updated mongodb.conf file and so on so that we can connect it remotely as well. Then I shown you my microservice application with controller, business, and repository layer with a configuration file, right? And then we compile and build our application. We created a jar file out of it. Then we deploy those jar file. We uploaded the jar file to S3 bucket and then we copied from S3 bucket to EC2 instance. We started our microservices along with MongoDB and we tested the get and post contract, right? If you like this video, so give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to channel if you are new to the channel. Click on the bell icon for the latest video notifications and do not forget to share this video with all your friends and colleagues. This is very useful information for students, beginners, and software engineers. I am putting a lot of efforts in creating these contents. So please help me growing the Code One Digest family. Please subscribe to Code One Digest channel for the latest programming and technology related videos. Thank you.